Hi everyone, my name is Laura. If you're new here, welcome. Today I am going to talk about 5 things I quit to lose 40 pounds. Okay, so this in my previous life would have sounded probably a little bit ridiculous, but hear me out. And stay tuned till the end because the last one I'm sharing with you was the true game changer in terms of transforming my body. So, not a lot of this is food related. Well, everything is essentially, but it's not as, for myself, what I've learned. I am not a health professional by any means, but I have experienced many diets. I have probably gained and lost 500 pounds in my lifetime. And so please note that wasn't at once, but the same, 30 pounds several times adds up quite quickly. But I wouldn't have thought, even 5 years ago that someone sharing 5 things they quit could impact my physical fitness and my health. But bear with me because these have been instrumental in my 40-pound weight loss. So, the first thing I quit, well, I probably didn't quit at first, but as I've discovered more about health and wellness and our metabolism and hormones, the number 1 on my list is restriction. So I stopped restricting myself. And why and how is this important or impactful? Well, when I restrict myself, my focus goes to the thing I've restricted myself of, and I cannot stop thinking about it. On top of that, when we restrict ourselves and then we're out in different situations where there are cues or, one might call like a trigger for a certain habit, I'm constantly in a battle with myself. So when I shifted my mindset from one of I can't have this to I can have whatever I want, I feel better when I eat this, my entire relationship with food and nourishment changed completely. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going. 2, the second thing I restricted, long workouts. So not only was eating a restrictive calorie deficit diet, working out excessively, not working to maintain a healthy, vibrant weight for myself, long workouts, they just never did what it was that I needed in order to fire up my metabolism. In a lot of ways, a long workout was me punishing myself for, what I had eaten earlier, or it was me being in a state of restriction, so depriving myself of food, and then trying to burn many calories for, an event or an occasion or, a weekend away or a vacation, right? And so this was not a great way to sustain a healthy weight for myself. So I'm gonna be perfectly frank with you, and I'll talk about this later on. 15-minute workouts are my favorite and so beneficial. But generally, if I'm going to the gym, I go to the gym usually about 3 days a week. I'm there for a half an hour to an hour. But if I'm there for an hour, it's because I'm with my sister or a workout buddy, and we're having conversations and we're engaging. I'm not working out for the entire 60 minutes. So yeah, I quit long workouts. The third thing I quit comparing myself to others. So even though I'm sharing the things that I quit, you quitting these things might not necessarily get you the desired results. I searched for a means to get to a healthy body weight and stay there consistently. And so I was constantly looking outside of myself, comparing myself to other people, finding out what they did, and then trying to duplicate it. And then when it didn't work, I'd find someone else and I would try and duplicate that, or I would speak to a trainer, a nutritionist, and they would tell me to do this and it wouldn't work. And so I would just constantly be comparing myself, and I was in a state of misery and constant disappointment and shame. So quitting comparing myself to others was one of the most liberating things that I did in terms of my weight loss journey, and that enabled me to lose, it's over 40 pounds actually. Okay, so 4. So the 4th thing I quit was I quit eating just because other people were eating, and I quit eating just because it was a designated mealtime. And the reason why this was really powerful for me was I would feel obligated to eat something if someone else offered me something, even if I didn't want it. So I went through an entire awakening of getting clear about my boundaries and being able to be kind without needing to do things for other people, especially eating food. And the really cool thing about this is when you sort of deschedule your eating, you may not even feel as hungry, because what happens is there's a hormone called ghrelin that is released when we typically eat. So if you typically eat 5 times a day, there are 5 moments throughout the day where you get a cue saying like, oh, I'm hungry. And you might not actually be hungry. It may just be your body has been conditioned to think I eat at 7 a.m., 10 a.m., 12, 1, 5, and 9. And so it releases this hormone saying, hey, it's time to eat. And so you do. And when I quit eating at designated meal times, or when I usually ate, or because I felt obligated, I really began to get clear about what hunger really was for me. I do want to be really clear. I actually eat a lot. I eat a lot more than I have ever eaten in the past because I've healed my metabolism. But I only eat when I'm hungry, or like if we have like a planned dinner, then I obviously don't go to a restaurant and not eat. But I ensure that I'm doing what I need to do to be hungry at that time. Okay, so now the 5th thing that I did, that I quit to lose over 40 pounds, was I quit complaining and negative self-talk. So I quit speaking about the things that I didn't like about my body. I quit complaining about maybe even how challenging a workout was, and how little results I experienced. If you are familiar with my channel, I also have lipedema, and so this makes it very difficult to lose weight from your legs and sometimes your arms, because while it appears like you have fat in those areas, because you have a lymphatic issue, as well as your body's begun to store toxins in fat cells, and then it encapsulates them. Once it encapsulates them, that fat no longer responds like fat. And so you can sometimes, well, they speculate that maybe you can shrink it slightly, but you cannot get rid of it. And so I may not have complained out loud about my legs, but I complained in my head constantly. And that was forever reaffirming what I didn't want. So complaining about how this doesn't work, or complaining about how, I've worked out like this for 12 weeks and I haven't seen the scale budge, it did not serve me. So when I began to transform, one, the way I spoke about my body, like I started to find ways to love things about my body, including my legs, including the things I was self-conscious of. And I began to speak of how I would speak to my body if it was exactly how I desired for it to be. Healthy, fit, light, strong, muscular, able to participate in loads of physical activities. And so shifting by quitting negative self-talk, quitting complaining, and then speaking in a loving way of my body, talking about how strong it is and how grateful I am that it's supported me through soccer games and dancing and hula hooping and bike rides and rock climbing and skating, and all of these things completely transformed my mood. It made me more excited to get out and do physical things. It made me, because I was speaking lovingly, you know, once I had allowed myself, like I quit restricting myself, I'd allowed myself I gave myself permission to eat whatever I wanted, and I spoke very loving to myself, and I wanted to treat my body well, so I paid attention to what I did eat. So I would eat, you know, well, I still do. I would eat more fruit in the morning when I was breaking my fast, or even in the afternoon if I was fasting for longer. I would make smoothies and drink tea, and I definitely still love coffee. I really began to notice how certain things made me feel, and as a result, I ate and drank more of what made me feel good, made me feel like I was nourishing and loving myself, versus eating stuff that I knew later was going to cause inflammation, swelling, bloating, possibly constipation, and affecting my mood as well. So, okay, I'm going to recap, but that was, I would say, is the most important one, and you can start it today. So the 5 things I quit to lose 40 pounds: I quit restricting myself, so restriction. I quit long workouts, long punishing workouts. I quit comparing myself to others. 4, I quit eating just because others were eating or because it was a meal time, a designated meal time. And 5, the one that I believe is the most impactful: I quit complaining and I quit negative self-talk. So if you are on a weight loss journey and you've quit any of these things, feel free to share. If there's other things you've quit in order to transform into the healthiest version of you, or maybe you're in the process of transforming into the healthiest version of you, please, please, please share. I love to hear what everybody is doing. Know that this isn't everything that I did to get in, I would say, the best shape of my life now, but it is a glimpse into some of the major things I quit in order to lose 40 pounds. Bye, everyone.